Kyle Hill. It's been a long time since I've seen a video from Kyle Hill. I think last time I saw a video from him was right before all of the UFO stuff really started coming out with the Tic Tac and everything that the military was coming out with. And he's got this video that has popped up in my recommended videos. Project Horizon, secret plan to conquer the moon. And I want to see what this is all about, so let's check it out.
Dear viewer, welcome to my moon base. Do you like it? I
I love
that
it.
you do. I've spent a lot of time and effort trying to figure out how to best colonize this particular corner of lunar Maria. The lunar surface is a harsh environment that requires its own specific engineering challenges. Challenges that I must say were already thought about and designed around more than 60 years ago. Today, we discuss Project Horizon, the U.S. Army's top secret plan to put a base on the moon and defend it with boom sticks.
Now entering the facility.
That's the way we do it here in
On
America.
October 4th, 1957, the Soviet Union successfully launched the
When the U.S. Army takes over the moon, it's not going to be called the moon anymore. It's going to be called the moon.
Sputnik satellite, suddenly shocking the West in the United States by both establishing and pulling ahead in a space race. The United States now had a very real worry that they would come in second in this race to the next great milestone, establishing a presence on the moon. And so, in 1959, the U.S. Army responded with this, Project Horizon, a complete and detailed report on how to create and maintain an
Project Horizon sounds like the next big game from Bethesda. Might be Starfield 2.
outpost on the moon.
Weren't you already on the moon by then?
I wasn't on the moon in the 50s. I haven't been frozen between then and now. I'm not Captain America. Though I do miss Peggy. The now
He's Captain America confirmed.
declassified multi-volume report spans hundreds of pages. It gives specific and technical recommendations for everything from launch and landing sites on Earth to the dimensions of subterranean living quarters to the costs of nuclear-powered Saturn rockets.
Well, here's the problem with living subterranean on the moon. It's hollow. As soon as you break through that surface, you're falling straight through.
If
That's not true. I actually don't know that. It's most likely not hollow. It's a bunch of cave systems all throughout it.
If you're a space nerd, it's a fascinating and educational read with some gorgeous artist renditions. I'll put a link to it in the comments if you want to peruse it yourself. Project Horizon is especially interesting because time was of the essence. It represents what the United States Army believed it could do with 60s technology, and it was quite a lot. Quote, Project Horizon represents the earliest feasible capability for the U.S. to establish a lunar outpost. By its implementation, the United States can establish an operational lunar outpost by late 1966. End quote. Everything in these reports in just 6 years would surely put the Soviets on the back foot. Now, obviously, there's a lot we could go through in over 400 pages of report, but we don't have time to do that today. So instead, we're going to focus on something that, unlike actually stepping on lunar regolith, never came to pass.
Handheld laser rifles? That's what that looks like.
And that's
Photon
battling
cannons.
Soviets on the moon.
Sounds like those old sci-fi shows.
Yeah, you got that right, Aria. 3 words. Handheld shotgun sticks. Yeah. Today's video is sponsored by Delete Me. Gamers, I'm award-winning science educator and Jason FOMOA, Kyle Hill. You know, I get on stage here in front of millions at the facility and bare my soul, but I'm actually a pretty private person. How old am I? How tall do I say I am in my Tinder profile? What's my dog's name? Do I even have a dog? I don't want to tell you any of these things. Point being, living online, that can be difficult.
Is Delete Me one of those things where it's like, find me on the internet and get rid of it?
That's why I rely on the sponsor of today's video, Delete Me. Delete Me is a service that makes it quick, easy, and safe to remove your personal data online. Just submit your personal information for removal from
People use this to delete their nudes off the internet. And let me tell you, or as long as 4chan exists, it ain't gonna work. People will have that saved to their hard drives away from the internet. So Good luck with that.
Data broker sites, and then Delete Me experts find and remove your personal information regularly all year long. More than 20% of the Fortune 500, along with dozens of government agencies and nonprofits, rely on Delete Me to keep their information private. Just look at how much of my information Delete Me found and then removed from the
The best way to keep your information off the internet is to just not put it up there in the first place.
clutches of the information monetizing,
Especially the nudes.
attention siphoning doomsday machine that is the internet. If you want to keep your personal data online, just that, personal, go to this URL or click the link down in the description and use the offer code altogether, all caps, no cap fam, Kyle20 off for 20% off any consumer plan at Delete Me. You're welcome. Kyle20 off, one word. When you want to stay personal online, just say it. Delete Me. The two biggest factors that affect weapon systems on Earth are gravity and drag. Projectiles on Earth have the range that they do because they'll be eventually pulled to the ground by gravity. They have the shape that they do because they have to push through certain mediums with density like air. The moon is different in these two factors. It only has 1/6 the gravity of Earth, changing the range, and it has effectively no atmosphere, changing drag to essentially zero. Add in the fact that anyone in a moon war will be in a big, bulky, pressurized suit, and suddenly you have a battlefield where some weapons won't work at all. Others will work a lot better.
What's happening?
I'm moon dancing. It's how you dance on the moon.
I
Consider
don't think
a
that's
simple
true. How would he know? Nobody's on the moon that we know of. How would he know what moon dancing is like?
pistol on the moon. Its ammunition may already contain the oxygen it needs to ignite, but the Army points out that the pistol's pin-firing mechanism might not work consistently in 1/6 G. When you fire the pistol, if you can, the expanding gases will not be halted by any atmosphere, making each pull of the trigger slightly more dangerous to the user. The recoil while firing will be substantially higher in a low-gravity vacuum, and that much more difficult to control with ungainly astronaut gloves. And good luck aiming the pistol in the first place. Without air to get in the way and with reduced gravity, bullets and other projectiles like mortars will fly with substantially extended ballistic arcs, not anywhere near like you're used to on Earth.
And wouldn't it travel slower at the same time with less impact?
Finally, inside the
Duchess, you dreaming? My dog was freaking out in her sleep.
large pressurized suits that you need on the moon, you can forget about using gun sights without modification that takes into account your helmet and Michelin Man-like arms. It wouldn't be all downside though. Some weapons would work a lot better on the moon. If you're fighting a moon war against moon soldiers, then presumably they're in pressurized suits. So to take them out of
About those, what are they? You sling them around your body and fling a rock. Bet those would work real good on the moon.
combat, you just have to poke a hole in those suits, and the more holes the better. A human in a vacuum will pass out and be unable to fight, therefore, in under 90 seconds. We know that because we've put chimpanzees and dogs in vacuum chambers, but we're not going to go through that because it's kind of depressing. So on the moon, you would want some kind of weapon that you don't have to aim, that uses hole poking technology, and that creates a lot of hole pokers all at once that travel extreme distances in the moon environment. That's why Project Horizon suggested using fragmentation weapons above all else, like grenades, grenade launchers, and claymore mines. Heck, the US Army figured that having a claymore mine on a stick would be more effective than a pistol on the moon. And so that's exactly what they suggested using. Mine on a stick. Imagine that you're one of the
It's like an explosion prod. It's like a cow prod, but as soon as the prod touches you, you explode.
dozen or so engineers, doctors, and scientists living on the US Army's moon base in 1966. Command and Control on Earth warns you of invading lunar Soviets. How
That's a
do you
lot of
defend
Kyles.
yourself?
How you
Project
gonna
Horizon
defend
first
against that many
prioritizes
Kyles?
perimeter defense with fragmentation weapons like mines. They can be detonated remotely, don't need aiming, and have hugely extended kill radii in vacuum. If the lunatics get through that, you might have to take matters into your own hands. Literally. Take your specially designed landmine on a stick and frag some faces. Remember, whether you're fighting people in
It's
space
basically a space shotgun.
or lunar vehicles, you don't actually have to destroy them. You just have to depressurize them, and vacuum will do the rest.
What do you do with the bodies?
Oh, you just let the bodies freeze all the way through in the shadows on the craters in the moon, and then you vibrate the bodies and shake your drums until they're frozen meat dust, and then you use that to grow your crops.
Oh, really?
I mean, I don't know, that's what I would do.
Same.
While fragmentary weapons seemed the cheapest and simplest option for moon defense at the time, the U.S. Army
You think we'll ever be able to grow crops on the moon using people? Make us some Soylent Green.
did consider everything at their disposal, but only directional mines and fragments came out as the clear winners. That is, unless you could develop a death ray. But small, powerful laser beams weren't invented yet, so no pew-pew on the moon in the 60s.
Sag.
Yeah, but now we got that technology. You ever heard of the Star Wars project?
Regular handheld weapons could still work on the moon, but they'd have to be extensively modified, which Project Horizon figured would take at least a couple years, which they didn't have, so
Just set up a base on the moon with a shooting range and just start shooting stuff. And just figure it out. Some engineer will be like, we ain't doing it right. We'll do it wronger to figure out how we could do it righter.
they didn't consider them as highly as fragmentation weapons. Still, though, they did consider how you would change a normal pistol for moon war, and they figured they'd be more like handheld shotguns. Just look at how the projectiles themselves also change. Instead of these bullets that are stabilized and aerodynamic, you get projectiles that are just like ball bearings for shotguns and pokey, holy spacesuit kind of projectiles. You don't need the same kind of stuff on Earth that you need on the moon. Unless, of course, moon's haunted.
What?
I said, moon's haunted. Now, obviously, Project Horizon never came to pass. Just
What if the moon's haunted by the ghosts of the alien civilization that came before us? That was on that planet that crashed into the Earth. And that became the moon.
for the materials for the base
And they're not
alone,
happy about
it would
it.
have required at least one fully loaded Saturn V rocket launch every week for half a decade. This represents a huge expenditure for the US government at the time and therefore a huge political ask. In any case, the project became officially impossible in
Didn't we spend more than that on Ukraine?
1967, when the United States signed the Outer Space Treaty, which officially barred military operations on the moon and other celestial bodies. But today we have technology that far outstrips anything that the US military was thinking about in Project Horizon. So whether or not it's still your best defense to bring a boomstick to the moon, that's an open question. What would you defend yourself with on the moon? Until next time.
A katana. Or what are those blades? The two that which Ninja Turtle was it? He had the two blades. Probably go with that. That'd be pretty good to just somebody's space suit.
Astronaut lizards? Think about it. Laser turrets. Manned by genetically enhanced wasps. Oh, beat that.
Moon drones that explode or shoot projectiles. Moon drones. We've already got Earth drones. We can have moon drones. It'd be way easier and take way less power to fly them around.
Soviets?
Now exiting the facility.
Thank you so much to the very nerdy staff here at the facility for their direct and substantial support in the creation of this here video. If you want to join the facility, if you want to drape on a silky lab coat, if you want videos early, access to our private Discord, and members-only live streams once a month with me, go to patreon.com/Kyle Hill. Join us today. And hey, if you support us just enough, get your name on Aria in every single video. Look at how many people want that. As it goes, there's no way. How can I pass the time? What I also like about Project Horizon is their acknowledgement of the power of nuclear power. Even back in the 50s and 60s, all of these Saturn V rockets, everything that was going to power the outpost on the moon was going to be nuclear. Why? Because pound for pound, watt for watt, kilogram for kilogram, which matters a lot when you're launching stuff up.
Nuclear energy is going to be the future of energy. And graphene is going to be the future of like physical production. Like everything's going to be made out of stuff like graphene, carbon-based plastics that are not plastic and way harder than plastic and way more malleable, way easier to build with, less dangerous. Way easier to produce and make, way easier to get out of our bloodstreams if we need to. Because it's just carbon. Kyle Hill, I give him a 20. I'm changing my scale. I'm going D&D with it now. We're going to be rolling 20s, rolling 10s, and rolling 1s. That's what we're doing now. So, get used to it.